Brad Williams, XL Prime, we have a bunch of growers. We're going to sort or filter by specific criteria. What's the criteria? We're going to have a grower 2 and a grower 4 and a grower 5. Our condition is if we can find this particular grower, show us what they're growing. Pretty straightforward. We've done this. This looks very familiar to the previous tutorial. What are we going to do? We have our array, and then we have our include. What's the criteria for include? This has to be true. B4, G4 equals C2. B4 to G4 equals C2. B4, G4 equals E2. B4, G4 is equal to G2. If it's true, then show us here, we want to see grower 2. Then we want to see grower 4. And then grower 5. Based on this criteria. F9, this is going to switch. You're going to see, go to grower 1, peach. Going, how do you do that? We're grabbing this entire array. Then we're just saying B4 is equal to C2. Here's C2. Filter's going to go through, and in our include, what do we have? We're just going to have a bunch of true falses. F9. If it's true, 1. In other words, is this column true? Yes. Is the second column true? No. Is the third column true? Yes. And so on and so forth. That's it. Notice, I didn't mention this. This means column grower 1. Grower 2. That's why it's so simple. All we're doing is defining the column, and then filter's just going to spit out what we asked. If you're using really old school technique, here is, and we did this before, with one exception. We have this inside here. We have what's called a constant list, and we hard-coded this. This won't change unless we go in and change it. All we're doing is, and it's a little bit different, we have this filter, and we've done this before. We have the array. We have to kind of psych it out and go, how do I define columns with match? Look at match. We have a lookup value. We have a lookup array, and we have a match type. Well, go back in here and look here. What's our lookup array? B4, G4. B4, G4. That kind of tells you what we're doing. B4 to G4, those are our columns. And all we're saying is look up grower 2, grower 4, and grower 6. That's pretty simple because we defined our columns as our lookup array. Usually we go down the row, but here we're going across the column. That's how we answer this. That's how we address the column issue. You know what's going to happen here? If we don't have a match, we're going to have an NA. If we have a match, it's going to say whatever that row is or column. So here, if we look at this value, what's going to happen? Well, we got NA. Why? Because it's not column 2 or grower 2. And then we're going to have 1, 2, 3. A note. Sometimes this stuff it seems overwhelming, but that's why we break it down. And then just understanding what the tools do. And in the end, what are we going to get? We're going to get a false and a true and a false and a true and a false and a true. And we got a false and a true and a false and a true and a false and a true. Is that not exactly what we have here? All right, if we go to filter and we go to this include, F9, we have, isn't that pretty much the same thing? All right, just different tools, different outputs, but same result. Remember, review the anatomy if you're confused. Read it if you need it. There are helpful tips in here that perhaps I intentionally didn't bring up that may make this much easier to understand. Brad Williams, XL Prime.